Hi, I'm Linda Gaines from Geeky Girl Gaines Crafts, and I'm putting together another how-to video, a tutorial on how to make this card holder. Um, it has 5 slots to hold cards, business cards, credit cards, the like. It can, I know people who use it as a wallet. As long as you're okay, folding the money, then you can very easily use it as a wallet. And it's quite simple to make. To do it, you will need 2 pieces of fabric that are 9 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. So I'm using this real pretty, ocean seashell and coral fabric for this. And so these two will form the exterior and the interior piece. So for the big piece. And I'll be putting all the directions on my blog. You'll also need 4 sheets or 4 pieces of fabric that are 6 3/4 by 5 3/4 inches. And those will form the interior pieces. And then finally, arguably it is optional. To me, it is not. If you plan to have credit cards or you're giving this to someone or selling it to someone who may be using it for credit cards, I highly recommend a piece of RFID blocking fabric, and that should be the same size or maybe the tiniest bit smaller than the exterior pieces, because what that'll do, it's going to wrap around, and so it'll protect any credit cards, the numbers from being stolen. And then of course eventually you'll need a button or snap. So anyway, that's all you need, and let me show you how to make it. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the 2 long pieces together along with the RFID blocking fabric over them. And then the interior pieces, those will also be sewn together like this, so that I'll have 3 pieces of sewn together fabric. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I've sewn the 2 shorter pieces, or pairs of the shorter pieces together, leaving an opening so I can turn it inside out. Same with the 2 long pieces have been sewn together along with the RFID fabric. And then they've all been pressed. So now what I'm going to do is just cut a little bit off the corner, simply so that when I fold it inside out, it won't be bunching up on the corner as much. Okay, so I've now trimmed the corners of all the pieces just to make it so it doesn't bunch up as much on the corners when I turn it inside out. So now let's turn it inside out. Okay, so now I'm just gonna press all of these to get them nice and flat and make sure all the edges out as much as possible. Okay, so I have now pressed all the pillows, I don't know what you want to call these. And so now I'm going to top stitch all of them, and while I'm top stitching that close, so the hole closed. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so before I go further, full disclosure, if when you were looking at this video previously, something looked off, or something looks different now, it's because once I had top stitched all these pieces, I realized something was wrong because they were, all three pieces were the same size, and they're not supposed to be. This is supposed to be a bit longer than these as they are now. So I realized I had cut all four of these pieces the same length as these two, the exterior piece. So that was fairly easily rectified. I just had to undo the top stitching, turned it over, cut off the excess, and then re-stitched everything. So luckily I cut the short pieces too long, as opposed to the other way around. So anyway, so now I have three complete pieces, all top stitched, and then the seam set by ironing it. So the next step now is going to be to take the two now short pieces, and what I'm going to do is, so I want to sew these together. So I'm going to take one of these, and so I'm going to basically mark the outline of the pocket, and the pocket is going to be, or the pocket that I'm going to make. So the pocket is going to be 2.5 inches deep, or in other words, this way, and then it's going to be 3 3¾ this way. So I'm going to just sort of make this. So okay, I've got it 2.5, So that should be about 0.75 on either end. So I'm just going to make a chalk line. Okay, so I made chalk line like so. Okay, so this is my sew line. So I kind of want the orange together, so, or peach, whatever it is. So I'm just gonna clip these like this and then sew that. Okay, so I've now sewn these two pieces together. I did not show that. So what it's done is now I have like a little pocket between these. And now ready for the final assembly, which is I'm going to take, so I'm going to take this piece and it's going to go like this and this piece like this. So in other words, that little pocket I made is now at the very inside, and I'm just bringing up the, so let me show you. Okay, here's the inner pocket. So I'm going to bring up this one like this. And then over here, I'm going to bring up this one like this. So now what I've done is, in a sense, I've formed 3 pockets once they're sewn. And then once I do that, I'm going to lay it down like this. And I'm going to turn this up like this, so that once it's sewn, I'm going to have, this is going to be a pocket, this is going to be a pocket, this is the pocket I already have, another pocket, another pocket. And so I'm going to simply sew along here and along here, because this part is already sewed. So actually, I guess in reality it's, so be sewing like this and then sewing like that. So let me show you at the sewing machine where it'll make more sense. Okay, so now both sides are sewn here. So now I have a pocket, and then the original pocket that I made. So now I'm going to put this over, and sew this together. So. Okay, so now the sewing is finished. As you can see, so I sewed here, and then I sewed here, and I sewed here, and then I sewed here, so that now there are 5 card holders. This is the original one that I made by sewing the 2 together, where I did the chalk outline, and the rest are just done by sewing the sides together. So now all that is left is to put the snap on. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so sometimes it's easiest just for the first one to see where the halfway point is. So it's going to be, so right about here. And I do like to poke it with the, I don't know what this is called, owl maybe, if only it's partially because I do have that, the metallic RFID protection fabric in there. And so you just need to, or at least with these types of snaps, you have to take just a little bit off the top so that works properly. And what I like to do is put the snap where it snaps to kind of high, so that way, in other words, there's an expansion area, because if you put it too low, then you can't close it if there are too many cards in there. So maybe like about this, so you can see how much expansion area there is. And there you go. That one is done too. So now you have a cute little card holder. It can work as a wallet or just for cards. Okay. See you next time.